gem on a cold face, lost on the right way. It's all the same. 'Cause I've had my hopes raised right in the wrong way. Scared when you felt safe to start again. Now watch me rise up and leave all the ashes you made out of me. When you said that we were wrong, life goes on. Just look at how long I've been. Now watch me rise up and leave all the ashes you made out of me. When you said that we were wrong, life goes on. You blew me away. Now watch me rise up and leave all the ashes you made out of me. When you said that we were wrong, life goes on. Just look at how long I've been. Now watch me rise up and leave all the ashes you made out of me. When you said that we were wrong, life goes on. You blew me away.
Hi, welcome back to drumhead.com. I'm Rich.
And I'm Mike.
And today we're going to look at one of Embrace's songs. Obviously, you'll know that Mike's been the drummer in Embrace for
28 years.
28 years, okay? And what we're going to do is we thought we'd take one of Embrace's biggest songs and then try and dissect why Mike came up with the part that he placed to that song. Because obviously something that, as a drummer, we often end up playing cover versions and playing other people's parts, but then there's always that case where you come along, you've got to actually invent the part yourself, and how to get into that process of actually coming up with a part for a song in the first place. So, as you've already seen Mike playing through the song, so let's jump in, dissect where we're at with it.
Okay.
So, first of all,
Yeah.
when is that song from?
Where is it from?
When is it from?
Oh, when? It was from 2004.
Right, okay.
It's from the Our Out of Nothing album, which came out in some part of 2004.
Right, okay. And obviously it's been a big success, one of the bigger successes of...
Yeah, massive. I mean, for us, when that album came out, the first two singles were Gravity
Yep.
and Ashes in the UK. In the States, it was the other way around. Gravity was deemed the right song to come back with because we had a break of about, well, not a break, we've been making the album for 3.5 years.
Right.
So we came back, and because Chris Martin had written Gravity, the record label were like, obviously Coldplay were huge at the time as well.
Yeah.
You know, we should go with that song, which was great because it brought us back with a bang, and then followed that with Ashes, which again was a big hit as well. So
Yeah.
it's done a lot of good for us over the years.
Good. And there's some pretty interesting parts in there.
Yeah,
Not conventional parts, you know, and we'll delve into that a little bit more.
Yeah,
but like
absolutely,
the bit where you're not actually playing the snare, you're just playing the hi-hat.
Yeah.
And then there's the chorus where it's got the sort of interspersed tom parts in
Yeah.
there and things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So where did that come from? Has that song always been? Was it just somebody walked in the studio and went bang, that's the song, or is it changed into what it is now?
No, I mean it changed massively, and a lot of people may have heard this story before, but it started out when we were writing the album. It started out as another quite slow ballad.
Right.
I mean, as people will know, we're quite well known for our slow ballad. We've done quite a few of those, quite a few slowish tracks.
Yeah.
So when it started, it was literally, you know, it was a slow ballad groove. You know, I can't remember exactly what it was.
Yeah.
But it was that sort of groove, and that's what we took into pre-production with the producer who did the album, Youth, amazing producer. So we went into a rehearsal studio. I think it was the week before we started recording, and we routined the songs.
Yeah.
So again, people who are watching, they might not know. A lot of the time, you know, if you're in a band and you're working with the producer, the job of the producer is to come in. Well, depends what sort of producer, but very much so with Youth, it was all about talking about the whole structure of the song as well, and then the performance of it. So we'd play through all the songs that we'd spent months and years working on in the routine studio, and then he'd come up with his ideas, coming from a completely fresh set of ears.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with Ashes. So we sat down and we worked through the other songs and we started playing it, and we were playing it with a nice laid-back groove.
Yeah.
And he kind of said, you know, that's all right. That's Embrace. That's fine. But I've got an idea. And if you're in a band, it's quite difficult sometimes to take on other people's opinions because you get so close to what you're doing, you just think that you're right. And obviously everyone else is wrong.
I think that's the same in life, though. When you work on things and then you get to the point where you think it's brilliant, somebody comes in and goes, not sure.
Yeah, and sometimes they're right, and sometimes they're wrong.
Yeah.
And in this instance, he said, let's try a 4-to-the-floor groove behind it, to which we all said, what the hell are you talking about? You know, and he said, you know, that kind of, we know what that is, the groove is. And he said, yeah, you know, maybe, you know, do that and have some, you know, sort of like disco hi-hats, you know. That kind of thing. And we all sort of looked at each other and thought, okay, but we're paying him. He's there for a reason.
Yeah.
He's got a great reputation. He's done a lot of stuff with us before. So we tried it and we started playing it. And literally halfway through the song, we all looked at each other and kind of went, oh, yeah. That's what it needs. And it literally took it from possibly being just an album track to being a single.
Yeah.
So once you had the fundamental of the 4-to-the-floor, which pretty much runs through most of the track, it was then a question of what goes over the top of that. So that's how that idea came about.
And then obviously there's that bit. The 4 on the 4 is pretty much all the way through, is it?
Pretty much until the end section. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you've got the bit sort of before the chorus.
Yeah.
Where you've still got the 4 on the floor.
Yeah.
But you've doubled that up then with the left hand on the hi-hat.
Yeah. So when it goes into the get all the parts right, it goes to the first chorus.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a question of, well, how do we lift from that? Where do we go from that? Because you know, I was pounding it quite a lot, and literally, the right hand comes over here, goes into eighths, and then the 4-to-the-floor carries on, not on the floor obviously, but on the hats.
Yeah.
So you've got, and then you've got eighths on the ride. So that's what I feel. And that lifted.
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
just the 16ths.
And is that did you try other things in there, or is that the first thing you did, or
Can't remember.
You can't remember.
No, I remember actually because we've kind of discussed this a bit before, and I can't remember exactly what happened, but some of the parts were added afterwards.
Right.
So I think I can't. We may have put the ride on afterwards, and maybe it was just the hats. I know we did it in sections, and I think we recorded it again. But yeah, we kind of worked on the parts and said, "Oh, would a ride work over there?"
Yeah.
And then it came to the next. That was the first chorus, and then it was a question of what happens after that. So the next part, come into the next verse, and just really simply go back to the 16th on the hats,
Yeah.
and just chuck a backbeat in.
Yeah.
And so you come out of the verse and you're straight back into. Which again on the record, I'm pretty sure that the snare was added afterwards. I think we did it with the 16th, and then it just didn't quite lift into the next verse.
So you put it in.
So I think we put the snare over the top now.
Because I noticed on that as well, that as soon as, I mean, again,
Yeah.
what every drummer should do really, when when the verse comes back in, the sing comes back in, you drop your dynamics massively.
Yeah.
And come right down. So the hi-hat's back to being completely closed again.
Yeah.
And the volume comes down just so you're just supporting everything else that's going on above that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the backbeat and the snare, again, there was quite a bit of discussion in the studio about how loud that snare should be.
Right.
I mean, this is the minute detail that you go into when you get sort of locked into stuff. Because I quite liked it loud. I think it might be Danny and Rick that wanted it really quiet, and Youth wanted it really loud, so it was really disco.
Yeah.
And I think we came to an agreement somewhere in the middle.
It definitely works though, because you can tell.
Yeah.
Because the vocals in the verse are not angry. Mm-hmm. So you can't really be that angry, can you?
No. Again, it's as we've said a million times, it's supporting the song.
Yeah.
Yeah. The snare louder. Since then, it's always a lot louder live. And it works better.
Yeah.
So I was right.
Yeah. Well,
And Youth
always.
Youth was right. Sorry.
Yeah, the drummer's always right. Yeah. But no, that's cool. And then you've got obviously the next bit. We've got verses and choruses. Are all the verses and choruses the same? Did you add something different in there, or
The next set of choruses, the only difference is it stays with the 16ths and the backbeat on the 2 and 4, and there's just more power.
Right.
And the hats, get a bit more sloshy. So rather than having them nice and, we just opened up. So you're just getting that more sloshy
and building that, telling that story, just building it up rather than just giving everything at once.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
I think that's a lot of drummers do that though, don't they? They just they give everything they've got right at the very beginning.
Yeah.
As opposed to just letting it grow and letting it build to
Yeah.
the big bit at the end.
Yeah, and that's how when we were doing it. When you're in there, it's hard to sort of know exactly what's happening. But when you listen back to it, you go, okay, that's how it works.
Yeah.
Because,
yeah.
as you said, then it moves on to another part after that.
Yeah.
Which I honestly can't remember how this part came about. I think we were just jamming, and it was like, okay, we're up there now.
Yeah.
Sloshy hats, wide open powers in there. Where do we go from there?
Yeah.
And a lot of the time when we're rehearsing, routining stuff, Danny, our band, our singer, he's well known for sort of, we're up there, the power's on, we're really giving it 100%, and he'll be going, right, Mike, take it up, take it up. And it's a running joke in the band. I'm absolutely whacking the shit out of stuff, and then he'll go, right, take it up. And we'll go, where to?
Yeah.
Where to? So I think I just literally went over onto the ride, because the ride, always gives that big sloshy sound. And then the tom pattern came into it, which, as you mentioned, kind of alternates between
I
the
really
hands.
like that part actually.
Yeah, and it's the more I look back on it, the more I think, that's a bit different.
Yeah. So are you playing eighth notes on the ride there, or quarter notes on the ride?
I'm playing eighth notes, but then in between, it kind of goes. So you've got that play between the.
Yeah.
And that was the way of taking it up.
Yeah.
That little
And is
bit
the foot
extra.
still going forward on the floor there, or?
Yeah, I had to think about that.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So you've still got, so you're not losing any of that power.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
You've still got the 4 going.
Yeah. So pretty much all the way through it, apart from, like you say, towards the end, the 4 on the floor is just driving and trying to keep that consistent.
Yeah, completely. Yeah. So really, if you're a listener and you're not a musician, then you are basically hearing that pounding all the way through until you get to the end. And you know, you've got that part going with the toms in. And then we have the breakdown section where Danny sings away, and then you're back in with the same groove again. Which, although is sort of quite, it's not complex, but you know, it's quite original, I guess.
Yeah.
But again, it doesn't get in the way of the vocal.
Not at all. It's just like putting them little ghost notes in it, so you're putting them on a different sound source.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
they're quite, obviously, they're not ghost notes anymore, they're quite big.
Yeah,
But they're in the same place as a ghost note would be, just
Yeah.
fitting in between the actual main groove. They're not taking away from the groove, they're actually just adding to it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, hopefully.
Yeah.
But you know, when you get to that part, then that's pretty much as far as you can go power-wise. You know. So, you know, then we come to the end section, and as you pointed out, the end section, the 4 to the 4 disappears, and it comes down to like a half-time groove. And again, I think it may have been. I think Youth may have suggested this. Youth knows that I'm a massive John Bonham fan.
Right.
And you know, producers know how to get the best out of musicians. You know, so sometimes, well, we do in the band sometimes. You know, it's like it's well known in the band that I'm not a big Joy Division fan at all.
Yeah.
But you know, if I want to get an idea through, I'll kind of go, yeah, I like that. It's a bit Joy Division, isn't it? I'm like, oh, all right, okay. So, but everyone knows these key words now. Because somebody will say, you know, oh, that's a bit Cure. Oh, I like it. Yeah. I mean, so it's. But at the end of this song, I think Youth mentioned maybe going half time. Think Bonham. I'm like, yes,
I love it. I love it.
So you go straight to the. You know, you've got that straight away. That it gives the sort of, you know, kind of levy when the levy breaks type of feel to it. That's all he had to say. Do something a bit Bonham-like, and I was there.
It's great. I mean, it's a great song.
Yeah.
You know, it's a great song. I've seen you play it live a few times, and it is really, really good. So, I'm going to put you on the spot now because you don't even know I'm going to ask you this.
Okay.
Do you know what drums you played? This size, or do you know what it was?
I know exactly what I played.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Hey,
okay.
How about that?
Okay.
Because I was endorsed by Premier Drums for years.
Right.
Great drums. In fact, the kit that I used to record this was one of the last kits that came out of their Leicester factory.
Okay.
Before they moved production, you know, to the Far East. And it was a Silver Sparkle Gen X, which was the mixture of the maple and birch kit that they had. Fantastic sounding. That was the kick, and for the sort of more geeky, you know, drummer out there. I mean, I like this sort of stuff. But the snare, I was never 100% on the Premier snares, so it would have been recorded with an old 1977 Ludwig 402.
Right.
That I've still got and use all the time. That I literally found in the attic of a studio and put together. It's not even round, you know. It's it's very slightly out, but it's got a sound that I'm sure, well, drummers out there will all know. Obviously, it's the drum that John Bonham used. So you see a bit of the thread here. So it was a Premier Gen X and a Ludwig 402. And Zildjian, you know, cymbals as ever, because they've endorsed me for 22 years now. Fantastic cymbals, as you know, on the kit now. There
you go. There we go. So it's great, isn't it? It's just good it's good for you guys to get an insight into exactly what goes on in that recording process. I mean, you know, how long does that take? How long did that? You know, we're talking about like we did this, we did that. Is that a few days, or is that a day? Is it half a day? Is it?
It was the routinning was done in as part of the other songs in 1 or 2 couple of days.
Right.
I think.
Yeah.
Once the decision was made, then it kind of gave us a direction to move forward. Because when Ashes was a slow ballad, I wasn't a massive fan of it.
Right.
You know,
Right.
admittedly I was wrong. It is a great song.
Yeah.
It's interesting that the original version, the demo with the slow ballady kit on, still sounds great. Yeah. You know, we've still got versions of that. So the song, it's interesting in terms of we always talk about playing the right beat for the song.
Yeah.
But there isn't one right beat for a song.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
many can
yeah,
work, and that just shows how two completely different approaches can work for that song.
Yeah.
And the version I just done the playthrough on, if there are any Embrace fans watching, they'll realise that it's got an extended ending as well, which never went out. So
Little treat for you guys. Little treat for you. Don't say we don't do anything for you.
But yeah, that was kind of it. Interestingly enough, I mean, this is how mad you can go in the studio. We spent about 2 or 3 days working on the tempo of it.
Right.
Now I'm not talking massive difference. I'm literally talking us sitting down and arguing between 138, 139, 140, and 141 beats per minute. Literally, we did versions 1 BPM, and we sat and argued the toss over them. In hindsight, we were just going insane.
And where did it end up? Do you know what tempo it's at now?
I think it's 139. I think possibly.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, insane. But you look back at it, and we still laugh to this day.
Yeah.
Saying sitting there arguing for 2 days as to a tempo between 3 or 4 beats per minute. Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah. But again, how the music industry's changed.
Yeah, we couldn't be able to afford to
That
do
won't
that
happen now.
Yeah.
That won't happen now.
Does that sound right? Yeah, do it.
Yeah. So there we go, guys. Thanks, Mike.
No worries.
It's just a really good insight into how to create those parts, and obviously one of Embrace's biggest songs, and it's interesting to find out exactly the process that went into coming up with that drum part, because it's not just a boom, bat. It's got some actual, quite a bit of thought behind it as to where it needs to go. So there you go, guys. If you're enjoying these videos, please remember, like and subscribe, and we will see you next time.
See you later.